Bonjour, image design students. Today we are working on Unit 6, Drawing Without Tracing. If you're in the plan, you can click More. Excellent. And let's just go ahead and start with 6.01, Drawing a Shape. In this unit, you'll create a drawing without tracing an existing image. In this lesson, you'll draw a banana and color inside it. Goals for the lesson: draw fruit freehand without tracing. Learn how to use selection to avoid coloring outside the lines. Planning your project. In this project, you'll draw a banana, an apple, and an orange. Before you start, think about what you want your fruit to look like. Do you want them to be real looking, or do you want them to look more cartoony? What colors do you want your fruit to be? Do you want a yellow banana or a red banana? If it helps, sketch out your ideas on a piece of paper before starting. Whenever I'm planning a project, I like to go to Google Images, and today I just put in still life, apple, orange, banana, and look at the lovely images that I pulled up. Now, what I'm going to be interested in for this project is I'm going to be interested in value. All right? What I mean by value, and if you've had art classes with me before, is you know that, for example, in this image of this apple, what values do you see? I see some dark red down at the bottom, and look, it even has hints of almost black down there, and that's because we've got light source, and you can see where the light source is coming from. It's coming from up high, right? And possibly, you know, at this angle here, because you know you've got a highlight right there. So there's a source of light, bing, hitting it right there and illuminating this area. That's why this area is so much lighter. We also have a highlight over here, so it looks like we have two sources of light coming in. Okay, and then you can just see the variations in color in this apple as it's ripening. Beautiful down here in the pit area, how it's so dark and creates that contrast against the lighter edge of the apple here where we're getting light hitting it. So down here it's dark because the light is not reaching that area. So that tells me that the light is more coming at this angle, because if it were coming higher, it would light that whole area inside there, right? And a lovely stem. Beautiful values. Okay, so that's what we're looking for today. We don't want something that's going to look flat. We want something that's going to look three-dimensional. You show three-dimensionality by having those darker values where you imagine where your light source is coming from. That's something you have to design. And you just imagine, okay, so if I have my light source coming from over here somewhere, it's going to highlight these areas, so it's going to stay white, and it's going to make areas down here where the light's not hitting dark, okay? So just be thinking about that. Let's look at this right here. I love this one. You can see you've got some highlights up here. You even have some highlight on the banana. And look at the subtle shades. So we know this light is coming from up top because the top of the banana is the lightest area, and we even have some white here. And then you'll notice that where it's getting darker, that's where the light's not hitting as much. And we know that it's got to be coming over from the right because there's a cast shadow underneath on this side. So I'm going to be looking for evidence that you have a source of light. You know where that light is coming from, so you know where it's going to be lighter, you know where it's going to be darker, you know you're going to have some white highlights, and you know you're going to have some black or darker shadows, and you're going to have cast shadows on the table, okay? Your composition. When Mrs. Girot has you guys doing projects, I always want you thinking about the entire canvas. Now remember, positive space, we've talked about space before. This is the area that objects take up, right? Positive space, these are the subject matter. So here we have positive space being the banana and the apple. And then the negative space is all of the area around it. And it is just as important as the positive space, your subject, because in that negative space, we have a horizon line. A horizon line is so nice. It adds just a nice quality. And you also have your cast shadows. Lovely. And the way that this cast shadow is going up tells me that this horizon line indicates that maybe this is a pink tablecloth and it's set right up against a baby blue wall because that shadow is climbing the wall there. This one is really fun. Even though it doesn't have a horizon line, look at the way the artist treated the negative space. There's a gorgeous cast shadow and the background is blue with yellow polka dots. I love it. So get creative with your compositions. Have fun. Is Mrs. Girot going to get upset with you if you don't have an apple and an orange and a banana? No. If you came to me with this composition of 2 bananas with a beautiful cast shadow, lovely areas that look like, you know, the banana is starting to rot a little bit, obvious indication of where that light is coming from. It's lighter over here on the right hand side. There's some white highlights here, and then we have darker tones over here on the left and those cast shadows. As long as you're hitting those objectives, I am going to be pleased as peaches. Large blocks of color, excellent, but you can still see where the light source is coming from, can't you? You can still see that those lighter tones and white highlights are on the top of the banana, and those cast shadows are underneath, and those dark tones are underneath. Very good. And look at that horizon line. Look at the way she treats the table they're sitting on, and the background is so vibrant. I think I'm in love right now. That's a pumpkin. So if you want to go for a more painterly effect like this, go for a more of a cubism effect like this, do it. Have fun. As long as I can tell where the source of light is coming from, we've got cast shadows, a horizon line, a background, a foreground. Fill the canvas with paint. Fill it. All right, let's get GIMP open. Let's do this. This is going to be so much fun. And I don't want you to feel nervous, okay? I know, sometimes it gets scary, but let's just have fun with it, okay? As long as you hit your highlights and your shadows and have some midtones, it doesn't matter what you do. It's going to look fantastic. All right, so we're going to go File, New. And when you do that, this little dialog box is going to pop up. And notice there are some different templates for different canvas sizes that you can choose. Like if you knew that you were going to want to print something off and you wanted it on like regular US letter paper size, you could do it, just click US letter size, and then whatever you do on that canvas, you could just print it right off. Today, the directions are to go 800 by 600. This is going to give us a landscape composition, and I'm going to go View, Zoom, Fit Image, and Window. Perfect. So there is the size of my canvas. It pretty much fits perfectly inside my window. Remember, if your docs are spread all over the place, go to Windows and click Single Window Mode. Also, if you're missing your toolbox, it's under Windows. If you're missing your tool options down at the bottom left or your layers, all of those docs are in the Dockable Dialogues drop-down menu. Okay? Let's go ahead and save it really quick. File, Save As. My image design folder is under Pictures. And let's see, we've been saving everything under Resources, but guess what? For Unit 6, we don't have any resources that we're using, so I'm going to follow this back to my image design folder. It's not going to let me, so I'll just go ahead and save it right in here inside my Resources folder. And how do you save your files? First and last name, okay? If you're watching my video right now and you're not putting your first and last name right now, I don't understand that concept, okay? I know that's not you, right? So first and last name, and then you can go Unit 6. Let's just do Still Life, okay? .xcf. This is your GIMP file. You can go back into this file and edit it later. And there we have the name of the file at the top left. Let's set up our layers. So make sure your layers are open. If they're not, go to Windows, Dockable Dialogues, and click on Layers. And next, we're going to just go ahead and add some new layers. So you can do that either by clicking on this little icon here. I'm going to click Save because it's not showing. There we go. It says create a new layer if you just hover your cursor over. So click there, and we're going to create a background layer. Hit Enter. Click another one. You can call this your banana or whatever fruit you want to do on the first layer. And then you've got your orange or whatever fruit you're doing. And you've got your apple. Okay, so just create a separate layer for each thing that you're working on. That makes it so that if you decided, I don't like that orange, guess what? The apple layer and the banana layer and the background layer are not affected at all. You could totally delete that orange layer if you want to without impacting the rest of the composition. So that's why layers are so helpful. If you're doing a job, for example, and you submit your work to your project manager, and your project manager looks at it and goes, hi, you know what? We changed our mind. Instead of having an apple in that image, we just want to have 2 bananas and an orange. Well, how easy would that be for you then to just get rid of the apple and add another banana? So that's why we work in layers, and it's really important that you get used to doing that. All right, let's get started. So any of the layers that I'm not going to be working in, I'm just going to lock them. And then I'm going to start with this original background layer. And so this is going to be the wall behind. So I just need to, I'm going to use the fill bucket like we did in our last lesson. And I just need to find a color that I want to fill for my wall. So I really did like the blue wall that I saw in one of those artworks. I was pretty inspired by that. So I can use this dial right here. You can pick any color that you want. And then when you click inside here, notice where it says current, that is the color that I'm going to be working in. So figure out what you want your current color to be, and then click OK. And remember, if RAM runs out, just click Save. Now I'm going to grab that fill bucket, ding, and I'm just going to, after I free my RAM and see my bucket in the window, click, and there's my background color. That's great. Now, I want you to know that you have this really cool filters menu item up here, and you could actually use some of your filters to create, that one didn't really do anything. Let's see. Enhance, distort. I'm going to go down to artistic and maybe go with cubism. You can adjust this and get different looking tiles. Maybe not so crazy about cubism, but as you can see, you got a Van Gogh effect. See what that does. Oh, I don't think it did anything because it's just solid color. So you can hit Control Z to undo any of the filters that you put on there. Let's see. I'm also going to click Save to free my RAM before I try my next one. Let's see. Render. Could try some clouds. I could try fog. Fog color, so I need to decide what other color I want with it, I guess. So maybe I want to pick more of a greener color, and I'll just click OK and see what it does. That didn't really, oh, and it ended up creating a different layer on top of it, but I can see what it did here. It's a little bit transparent, so you might like that. I'm going to click and be back in my background layer. I'll save that clouds. I kind of like that. Maybe go and do an artistic glass tile. That might not work. All because this is a solid color. I was really hoping that it might do something fun, but since it's a solid color, it looks like it just doesn't really want to do anything fancy for me. Yeah, that's too bad. Let's see. Trying something else. Noise. Could try. Oh, that creates an interesting effect. That could be fun. I don't think I like it that interesting, but a little bit of, yeah, a little bit of texture. There, going with that. So you can make an interesting effect on your background if you'd like to. And then I'm going to lock that up, and I'm going to work in, I think I should have named this one my tabletop instead. So I just clicked on that, double clicked maybe, and hit tabletop and then enter. Remember, if you don't hit enter, it doesn't save your name. Make sure that you're working in the right layer. And I think what I'd like to do for my tabletop is grab my paintbrush. I'm going to click save, grab my brush, and I am going to pick a foreground color that I want my tablecloth to be. And I did like that pink color that artist before had. That I thought that was really charming. So I might go with a pink tablecloth. I liked that. And then I'll click OK. And now it's important to get a brush. Make sure that your opacity is, this is the tool options for your paintbrush. Make sure that your opacity is set at 100. Like I said, my default for some reason is no brush at all, so I always have to go in and grab a brush. You can grab and play around with any brush that you want. Just remember, if you have a hard edge like this, that you're going to see that outline, but if you pick a softer one, I have a tendency to like the softer brushes better. Once you pick a brush, you can increase the size of your brush, and if you click save and free up your RAM, you can see how large the brush is going to be on your canvas. Think about how you want your horizon line. I think I'm going to do kind of a dramatic horizon line, and I'm going to just go up like this, and I might have gone too far, so I'm going to click Control Z, and I'm going to come down a little bit. Maybe I didn't want it quite at that angle. Nope, not liking that either. So just keep on drawing it until you get it the way that you like it. Control Z to undo. Perfect. Once you get where you want your horizon line to be, and the reason why I'm making mine so high is because I want to really create a shadow effect on mine, but you can choose yours differently. You don't have to do exactly what I do. I'm going to make my brush bigger because now I'm just going to fill this in really quick. Oops. And it blurred to the outer edge. So I have too much blur now that my brush is bigger. Hit save if things aren't working to free up your RAM. And I'm going to click, now I want the solid brush. So I can see and get exactly inside of the lines without it blurring and going outside the lines. Perfect. Now, love it. What do you think? Should my tablecloth have any texture? Ooh, I could do some fun stuff, you guys. This is just cool because the sky's the limit. As soon as I thought about tablecloths, I instantly thought of Matisse. Do you remember Matisse? Look at the way Matisse creates these textures using complementary colors. It is so awesome. So maybe you want to create a beautiful texture. Oh, look at this texture on the table. How fun is that? Or this texture on the wallpaper. Oh, they've even got a frilly little texture on the table. Here's another texture on the table. Notice one thing that Matisse is missing that I've asked you for is that three-dimensionality. All of these sub-objects are pretty solid in color. They don't have highlights, and there aren't cast shadows on the table. But I would like you to have those cast shadows and that type. There's a little bit of a cast shadow here, so that works, but the fruit isn't rendered. So if you'd like to create some texture on your table, do that now. So I'm going to go with red. And why is it showing pink? Because this needs to get moved right over to the corner. So make sure your current is where you want it. click Save. If you run out of RAM, my brush size is too big and I want it to be blurry. So I'm gonna grab a smaller brush, click Save, and it's still a little big. Go a little smaller, maybe down to 30. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and create some fun designs. And I have to tell you that filigree is probably not my strong point, which is, you know, making those pretty curvy designs. For some reason, yeah, I'm just really, really bad at filigree. As you can see, hit Control Z if you mess up. Anyway, I'm gonna finish my design and I'll be right back. All right, so I finished up my filigree and now I'm going to use my blend tool. So actually it's called the Smudge Tool. If you hover your cursor over it right here, it's called Smudge. So click on that and save. And now with Smudge, it's kind of fun because if you have your opacity raised all the way to the top, watch what happens when I draw my brush through here. Can you see it smudging? You see how it's just really smudging it nicely. I'm going to hit Control Z. Now, if I decrease my opacity on my smudge tool, when I go to smudge, it'll be subtler. So it just kind of depends on what you're going for. I'll go ahead and increase my smudge. And I think what I'm trying to do is maybe create some wrinkles in the tablecloth. So I'm just going to take my pink and I'm going to smudge it into the paint a little bit and just hopefully give the effect that there's some wrinkling happening in my cloth, and it might not actually look that way when I'm done. We'll see. Just squint your eyes and smudge. And if you like it, great, and if you don't, you can always just Control Z your way out of it. That's the great thing about it. Oh, funny. I'm gonna get a bigger brush. I need a bigger brush. There's that smudging. So I'm going back. Much bigger brush. Get myself out of there. It's all trial and error. That's all art is. It's a giant experiment. Control Y. I accidentally undid a couple things. Okay, so here we go. Smudging to create the effect of a wrinkle going through my cloth. I might just want to smooth out the whole thing, and I think I kind of like that subtler texture on my tablecloth. So you have fun with it. Do whatever you like. It is a little wonky in there. I don't know if you noticed that on mine. It's a little wonky. I might decrease my brush size and try to smooth out some of those areas by going over it again a little bit. The wonkiness though might work for you. You might like it. I think I'm getting rid of the wonkiness though. Yeah, that's pretty. I actually like that. I like the way that that kind of made the material look like it was flowing a little bit instead of one-dimensional. That's fun. Cool. Looks like material that's been draped. Love it. A sea of pink. So this is all painting is, right? So if you had actual paint on your brush, this would take you a lot longer than it's taking me right now. This is gorgeous. Okay, so I'm very happy with that. Remember, you have an eraser. So you could also grab your eraser and get a firmer brush, solid brush, and come along the edge here and just make it so that it doesn't look so blurred along the edge. There we are. I love that. Okay, done with my tabletop. Now it's time to add some fruit. Banana. Unlock your banana layer and make sure that the layer is selected, and then grab your paintbrush and pick some yellow. Okay. Any color yellow that you want. This is your banana. How are you gonna play this? I'm going with bright yellow. And click OK. Save whenever your RAM runs out. Get the right brush size, okay? Don't start too big. Okay, so that's about a good brush size, and I just think about where do I want my banana. I think I'm gonna have mine coming up a little bit over the horizon line, and there is no right or wrong way to draw a banana. So please, you know, don't beat yourself up over how your banana looks. Okay, now I'm just gonna fill it in. So I'm gonna get a little bigger brush size and I'm filling in my banana. Yeah, liking that. Look at that, that's pretty. Okay, now I have to think about where is my light source coming from. Okay, so where do I want my shadow to be cast on the table? Do I want it to be cast over here? Do I want it to be cast over here? And I think I am going to have my light source coming from over here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and go layer, new layer, and I'm going to call this my light bulb. Sometimes it's nice just to have a light bulb, and I'm going to grab this layer and move it up. It's not working for me because I'm making a video, but just know that you could just grab it and drag it up, or you can use these little arrows. Hey, it worked. Let's see if I click save, it'll do it one more time for me. It did. So now my light bulb layer is at the top, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and create a little sunshine. Okay? That's my reminder of where my light source is coming from, okay? So everything on this side is going to be highlighted, and everything on this side is going to be shaded, and I'm going to have a cast shadow. Correct? Correct. So let's get a highlight color. So let's go ahead and click here. We've already got a yellow. Now we just need to get a nice tint. To tint something means to add white. So as I draw this down into this area, you'll notice I have a really white yellow. Click OK and save if you run out of RAM. Now I'm going to go with a smaller brush size to get my highlights. I'll probably go about 30 personally. And where are my highlights going to be? Oh, that's too big. Going down to a 16 and seeing how that, oh, that's better. So here I've got some highlight, okay? Just draw a line, all right? It's not a big deal, just do it. Draw a line right down. Okay, now let's go ahead and I'm gonna just move this up just a touch more and get a little warmer, okay? So there's a little more yellow hue in there, a little less white, and I'm gonna go ahead and draw another line. That is just not yellow enough. Hitting Control Z. Going back, getting more yellow. There we go. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. This will make sense soon. Oh, that's nice. So remember how I talked to you that we have to have different values? Yeah, so there's a lighter value over here, which you're gonna want. You can paint that on anywhere you want, that lighter value, okay? Then you're gonna go darker. So let's go ahead and take over here, get some darker banana color. Now, does it have to be, could you go more orange if you wanted to? You could. You don't have to go pea green. You're the one who gets to decide. Look at this, there's different sliders here, so if you want to add some more red to it, you can. Yeah, you can bring it down. So you eyeball it, you decide, this is your banana. All you know is that it's just got to be a darker hue. Click OK whenever you pick it and just put it on there. Oh, look, what am I putting on there now? Some bruises, right? Nice, I liked that. Okay. Gonna go a little bit darker, okay, because now it's time to put in some shadows. Okay, I'm gonna get some darker hues down here. I know that doesn't look good, right? I'm gonna blend it later, okay? So don't worry about that, you're gonna blend it. Okay, go a little bit darker. Oh, that's a lot darker, you're saying. Yeah, this is called value. You wanna have all the, ooh, I can put a little bit of that black. Oh, what about over there? Yeah. Do you ever squint your eyes? I know I do. Okay, so I'm gonna put some of that in right underneath this banana on the table. That's gonna start being my cast shadow. And I better hit Control Z, because something that happened there is I got a little bit inside my banana. So you know what I might do? I might create a new layer. You know why? Because I want to put my cast shadow underneath my banana. So I'm going to go to my tabletop and I'm going to click new layer, or I can just go to layer, new layer, and this is going to be my shadows. Okay. I want to have shadows underneath it, so I'm going to click on my shadows layer right now, and I'm going to go ahead and start painting my shadow in. See how now that shadow is going right underneath the banana? That's cool. So what does the shadow need to do? Kind of needs to replicate the shape of the banana, doesn't it? Yeah, so make your shadow the same shape as your banana. Fun. This is cool. Okay, now the shadow's not dark enough, okay? It's got to go darker. So I'm going to click on here. In fact, I'm just going to click the little, I'm going to cancel that. See this little black foreground? Click on that. I want some black right at the base of the banana. It's going to be pure black where that shadow is. Hit Control Z if you accidentally. Yeah, right where there's no light, it's going to be pure black, okay? No light hitting right underneath my banana. Okay, and I can always blend that later. Perfect, so I've got my tones set, okay, for my banana. Do I want any pure black under here? Oh, I'm not on my banana layer. Do I want any pure black on my banana? Maybe just a touch. Oh, look, my banana is up on the light bulb layer and on and on the banana layer. Well, that's too bad. You got to be careful and make sure you're working the right layer. I can't fix that now, but you know what I can do is I can move my light bulb layer down. This is a good lesson. What happens if you ever mess up and put two things on different layers? I want to try to move it down. It doesn't want to. If you're running out of RAM and you can't get your layers to move for you, just go to Layer menu, Stack, and then you can lower the layer that you have selected. Layer, Stack, lower layer. All right, now that I have them together, I can take these two layers and I can hold down. I was hoping I could. Let's see. Right click. I can say merge down. So I'm going to click merge down, and now those two layers have become one. Later on, I'll have to go in and erase my sunshine off of this layer, but at least now my banana's all on one layer. Did that make sense? I hope so. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and use my blend tool. So I'm going to go File, Save, and I'm going to, it's a smudge tool, smudge, and I'm going to start smudging, okay? So I might want a bigger brush to smudge with. I'm going up to about 23. And I'll go higher. I'll go up to 30. Okay, I'm just going to start blending. And this is called rendering. And you might have liked it better the first way you did it, and you can always do Control Z and go back, okay? It's up to you. Hit Control Z if you ever do something that you didn't like. All right. But this is rendering. You would normally do this in your drawing with your finger or a drawing stump, but this gives you that smoother effect. Okay, so now you've got your nice banana, super realistic looking now. It's three-dimensional. Pretty cool, huh? So all you did was blocked in your values to start. It looks fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go right along the edge now. Smooth that all out. Go right along this back edge. Smooth all that out. Perfect. So there's my three-dimensional banana. Can you tell where the source of light is coming from? Yeah. And here's my three-dimensional. Now I have to get on my shadow layer. And I got to blend my shadow now. And I'm loving the fact that it's showing some of that pink of the table underneath it, because that's pretty cool that my shadow does look like, you know, it's part of that tablecloth. That's my goal, is to make that shadow look like it's part of the tablecloth, not separate from it. So yeah, do that blending there. Nice. Love it. Okay. When you get it the way you think you like it, perfect. Just leave it there. Excellent. Okay, so we're supposed to add another piece of fruit now, an orange. So I'm going to lock these other layers and let's put an orange. Actually, you know what? I'm not liking my shadow. I got to go back to my shadow and I need to use my eraser tool. Okay, I'm going to erase, but I don't want 100% opacity on my eraser. I'm going to bring it way down, the opacity, and I'm going to come in with a big brush and I am going to erase a little bit. And the reason why, every time I click, it's going to erase. The reason why is because I don't think that shadow is going to be quite that dark out here on the tablecloth. And that looks really cool. So now I can see more of the tablecloth through it. And gonna blend. File, save, smudge. Let's smudge that a little bit. Okay, think that looks a little better. Oh, I got right back into that same situation I was in before. I'm gonna hit Control Z where it started looking too dark again. So I'm going back to my eraser and I'm gonna erase some of this. I love that effect of the don't you love that bubbly effect that it's giving it? I love that. Okay, click save, get my smudge brush. I'm gonna decrease the opacity on my smudge. I think my smudge is just too intense. So remember that opacity is really helpful. Okay, so I think that's better. I think my shadow is just a little too crazy, a little too intense. It's looking a little more natural now. Okay, part of the tablecloth. Oops, what'd I do? I just clicked the eye. Okay. All right, so I'm a little happier with that. And you could be here literally all day long rendering, so don't beat yourself up over the banana's shadow, okay? Just have some fun with it. All right, so next we're gonna do the orange. I'm gonna unlock the orange layer, and do I want the orange to be on top of the banana, in front of the banana? Might as well, right? So I'm going to get my paintbrush, hit save, grab the paintbrush, and pick a foreground color. It's gonna be orange, obviously. And I might go with my color wheel because I think I like my color wheel a little better. I can see the hue. Whoopsie. I gotta click inside here and grab this little guy, move him over here. I can see that foreground color. That's a pretty orange color. I'm gonna go with that. Click OK, save, free my RAM. All right, and I'll go with a smaller brush. I'm going with a brush that has more of a blurred edge, and let's draw an orange. Let's see, where would I want my orange to be? I have a feeling my orange is going to be on the other side of my banana, so I think I'm going to move that layer down. So click on your orange layer and go layer, stack, lower layer. I'm going to have it behind my banana, so I'm just going to go ahead and quickly draw an orange back there. Perfect. And you'll notice that if I hide my banana layer, you can see my orange perfectly. And you can also see how messy my shadow layer is. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just hiding it, so I'm not distracted by how ugly it looks. Okay, banana. All right. Should we put a fun texture on the banana? We could, or on the orange. Oh, sorry, orange. I'm going to go to filter again, and what did I do last time? Noise. That was funny. I'm going to try, was it noise that I did? I think I put noise on it. Not that one. Filters, noise, hurl. Not that one. Noise. Wonder if I just need to get over to my orange. There's my orange. Okay. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's crazy. Not that one. Okay. Filters. Noise. RGB noise. You have to slide over and find your orange. Oh yeah, there's the RGB noise. Love it. This was the one where you can, this is fun. I like this RGB noise. I'm gonna go with brighter red. Oh, cool. Like that. That makes it transparent when you do the alpha. Okay, so going to click OK. File save. That unfortunately didn't save for me. I'm going to try it again. All right, great. It applied it. Perfect. So I've got this really fun texture on my orange, and I'm going to get my highlight on there. So I'm just going to click on my foreground color, and I'm going to slide this down to a whiter tint to get my highlight. Click OK, and I'll just paint right onto the orange. There's my highlight. Remember, my light source is coming from the left, and then I need to have some shadows, so I'm just going to take my picker and slide it over, and I'm going to make it oranger. And click OK. Come over here. I don't really like that. I'm going to try something a little oranger. So going more into the redder hues. Might just go right into that, like that. Okay, so you got to have something to complement it with over here. And then I don't know if you'll be able to see a shadow from the orange or not, but just in case you could, I'm going to click on the shadow really quick. And I will just grab the black and I'll paint where the shadow would be. And then if I decide that it shows up, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. All right, so let's blend on the orange layer. Okay, we're gonna blend on the orange layer. Whoops, that's not blending. That's painting. So on Control Z and then click your blend tool. There we go. So great, I can go ahead and get this blending. Now I'm realizing I probably should have done my filter after, right? I'm gonna increase the opacity on my blend because I had it lowered. So yeah, it's always important to remember you've got that opacity setting. All right, Control Z. I need more of that color. And remember, it's saved right here. So I need to paint some more of that color on. So it's not doing the justice that it needs to do. So notice I'm not being really careful about where I put it because I'm just going to be blending it. So I'm gonna blend, blend, bigger brush. Because I want this to look like an orange. An orange with a highlight on one side. And shadows on the other side. Now remember, this is going to be hidden from view by the banana. So do I have to go absolutely perfect on the orange at the bottom? No, we can show where the banana is going to cover it up right there. Oh, that looks awesome. Perfect. Okay, I'm leaving that. I do see some of the shadow, so I'm going to go into my shadow layer. I've got my blend tool, and I'm just going to blend that a little bit. Okay, so we do have a little evidence of that, the shadow from the orange back there. That looks great. I'm going to round it out so you can tell that that is the orange. Okay, nice. And then what else? We have an apple, right? How fun is this? I hope you're having as much fun as I am. Okay, let's get the apple going. So where do you want the apple? I want the apple right in the front. So I'm going to click on the apple layer, and I'm going to lock the other layers. Not that locking the layers has been doing me any good. Locking the layers has not really helped at all. Okay, so getting a red color for apple, unless you want to do green apple, you can, of course. And like I said, you don't have to do your fruit as an apple. You could do grapes if you wanted to. Whatever you feel like. So I'm going to bring that little dot over here. There's red. Click OK. Save, free up my RAM. Okay, where is my apple going to be? It's got to be like right here. Oops, where am I painting? I don't know, but oh look, the apple layer was locked. It actually worked and didn't let me paint on my apple layer. I've noticed that for some reason. Oh, it's still not letting me paint. Okay, I've got a brush. I'm not using paint. I've got my smudge tool still, so yay. Problem solving 101. Here we go. Now I have an apple. Oh, look at that apple covering up my shadow. I'm going to get rid of that. Decrease my brush size so I'm getting a better outline. Apple, apple, where are you? Here I am, how do you do? Okay, there's an apple. Filling it in, increasing my brush size, and filling that apple in. Getting a hard edge brush so that it's not blurring over the outline I just made. We're almost done, kids. This is so fun. Okay, perfect. So there's the apple. Highlight. All right, so I just need to take this down and get a nice tint, a white tint. Click OK. File, save. Okay. Small brush. Way small brush. Gotta use the arrows. Okay, there we go. Click save, free your RAM up. All right, but I found about a 16 brush has been working for me. I'll go ahead and put a little highlight there, and maybe a little highlight down the edge of the apple too. And then I need some dark shades for my apple. Yes. Okay, and brush that stuff right in there. Where is it going to be dark? Where is that light not hitting? There's also going to be that little place right in there where the stem comes out. You could actually just click right on the black and get your stem going and get your really dark shadows coming under here, and then you can click on your shadow layer and you can get your apple shadow started. Okay, perfect. That's great. Excellent. We need a highlight right on that stem, so I'm going back up to my apple layer and I'm going to get my paintbrush. I've got it. I'm going to click on my foreground color and I can go back to that tint of red that I was using, which is a pink, right? Because that's what red and white do. They make pink. So I'm going to go ahead and make my brush size a lot smaller. And I think that's going to be more of a green stem than a pink stem. So I'm going to slide this around to green. And I'm going to pick up more of a forest green tint. And throw that tint on there. Cool. That's gonna blend really nicely. We should probably have a little bit of pink, you know, highlight coming around here where it's gonna hit the top of the apple over here. All right, let's blend. Let's render is what that's called. Rendering. Grab your smudge tool, get the brush size for your smudger that you want, and go to town. Start smudging, start making that three-dimensional realistic look that we all love about apples, about apple still life paintings. Don't you just love the way fruit looks when you've got your highlights and your shadows drawn in? I need a big brush. I really like smudging with a big brush. There, that's better. Ah, Control Z. Up there was too much. Control Z, still too much. I'm gonna change this really quick to a soft edge brush instead of a hard edge. There we go. Let's see if that makes a difference. My brush might be just a little too big. Going down to 40. I think 40 is about the ideal brush size for smudging. All right, there we go. Anyway, that's what I have found. You might find different. Okay, be thinking about the shape of a brush or shape of an apple and how, you know, the direction that you do your brush strokes in helps to, you know, make it look more like an apple. I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, so what's happening here is that because I'm smudging, it's getting really transparent and I can see through it, so I need to add some more red. So going back to that original red color that I had, and I'm going to click my paintbrush, and maybe I will decrease my opacity on my brush just a little bit. Oh, that's not red enough for me. I need to get a deep red. There we go. And I need to paint some deep red in there. It's not exactly the red that I would have chosen for my apple, but it's working. And you know, it's just great to get all of these different layers of color. It creates value. It's super sweet. You can tell that it's just the more layers of value I build up on it, the more realistic it looks. I'm smudging now again. After I add some more color, I need to just kind of render that, blend it together so the colors mix nicely. And I am just having a ball. I can still see that shadow underneath, and I don't want to be able to see that through my apple. So I need to get my paintbrush, and I need to increase my opacity to 100% this time as I'm brushing over in those areas to make sure that I really am not going to be seeing the banana underneath. And I think I might need to go for a deeper shade again over here on the right hand side and get, you know, a little more depth in my apple. Click OK and get some smudging going, and this might be the last time I work it over, guys. I might be done after this. This looks like that's it. This looks really good. Loving it. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, and then I just need to work on the shadow on the table, so blending that, just smudge that in a little bit so it doesn't look quite so stark. Okay, perfect. All right. Oh, I never did smudge the stem. It's got that highlight on it. I need to just get a really small brush and smudge. Whoops, but I have to be on the right layer. So I have to get on my apple layer. I was on my shadow layer. Remember, when something's not doing what you want it to do, ask yourself, am I on the right layer? Do I have the right tool? There, now my stem has a highlight on it, and I'm gonna actually paint some more black on there on the edge over here, because I think that, whoops, no, that brush is a little too big. I just need a really thin strip of paint there, and I'm going to zoom in because I can't really see what I'm doing. So now that I'm zoomed in, now I can click my paintbrush and I can get in there and get some more black over here. And maybe I want to, whoops, it's hard to draw with a mouse. Get some black over there. And now I'm just going to smooth it one last time, which is so much harder than it looks when you're using a mouse. I know. My goal was that I wasn't going to lose the edge. So that's why I came in. All right. I think that's good. File, save, hit my zoom, hold down Control. Okay, sometimes that'll happen to you. You'll click on it, it'll just disappear. If you can't find it, just go View, Zoom, Fit Image and Window, and that'll bring it back. Now the last thing I have to do, guys, is I have to get rid of that ridiculous sunshine that I painted in there that's on my banana layer. So I'm gonna take my eraser and I'm just gonna grab a giant brush and I'm just gonna erase that. But my opacity is really low. So check your opacity and make sure it's at 100%. And I can just erase the little sunshine. Perfect. So there's my still life. I've got evidence of highlights, evidence of midtones, lots of shades in the middle. I've got shadows, and I've got cast shadows. That's all I can ask you for, people. I've got a background, I've got a tablecloth, the whole composition comes together, looks fantastic. So File, Save, that's the one you're gonna turn in, and then File, Export As, your first and last name, and you're gonna change .png to .jpg, and you are going to move this over because you're going to be exporting, and you need to make sure you can see what you're doing when you optimize your file, because it needs to still look good but be a good size. So you slide this over, click Show Preview in Image Window. Oh, it's only 123 kilobytes. I'm going to increase that to 100%. It's at 505. I'll go down 1%, and that brings it below 500. And it looks great. What happens if you bring your quality down too low? It's pixelated. You don't want it pixelated. So for me, just get it one drop below 500 kilobytes, and then click Export. And you're ready to submit. So you're going to go right into Unit 6, and you are going to click on your Unit 6 project Still Life Drawing folder. Inside the Dropbox, you're going to see the rubric. You're going to submit your 2 files named First Last Unit 6 Still Life, the .xcf GIMP file, and your exported optimized JPEG file. 35 points possible, so 5 points you have a wall in the background and a table with a horizon line. 5 points you have a banana or whatever that first fruit is, because I said I didn't care what fruit you do. For 5 points you have an apple and or orange, so you have a second and or third fruit. For 5 points, all of your fruit has highlights on it. 5 points, all of your fruit has midtones. 5 points, all of your fruit has shades, darker shades, and 5 points, there are cast shadows on the table for your fruit. So all those highlights, midtones, shades, and cast shadows clearly indicate where the source of light is coming from. And everything needs to be arranged on layers. Yes, this indicates that these, you know, the wall, the table, the horizon line, the banana, everything, these are all on layers. And then you're just going to upload and submit those files. Thank you. Good job.